Hi everyone and welcome to Grammar School. I'm your instructor, Terry Ann. Today we'll be talking about prepositions. Well, three prepositions in particular: in, on, and at. Today we are going to start with some background information regarding prepositions, then look at the preposition triangle, look at some rules with some examples, and finally do some exercises. Now, what is a preposition? Well, a preposition is used to talk about the relationship between nouns. And there are so many different types of prepositions. We have prepositions of movement, we have prepositions of direction, prepositions of location, which talk about where you are situated, and prepositions of place, which talk about where one thing is in relation to the other. And finally, prepositions of time. The words in, on, and at can be used as prepositions of time, location, and place. That can be a bit confusing, right? But each of the contexts in which they can be used differ. Okay, so here's a quick glance at the preposition triangle, which explains how in, on, and at can be used as prepositions of time and location. And there are two additions that I'm going to make on the next slide. So these are the two additions that I would make to the preposition triangle. In is also used with seasons such as spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So we say, in spring, the flowers begin to bloom. And on is also used for dates. So we say, for example, I was born on January 26th, 1987. So, are you ready for the rule? Drum roll, please. So in is used with bigger periods of time, such as centuries, decades, years, seasons, months, and years. So if you go back to the preposition triangle, you will see that we say in the 1800s, in the 80s, in 1980, in spring, in July, or in 2 weeks. As we move to the base of the triangle, well, it's actually the point because the triangle is upside down, we would note that on is used with smaller periods of time, such as days, dates, and weekends. So we would say we are going out on Friday. In fact, any phrase that ends with day or any word we would use on. And at is used with the smallest units of time, such as hours and clock times. So call me at 8:30, why don't you? As a preposition of location, we use in with general locations, such as a country, a city, a town, a neighborhood. So I would say, I live in Canada. Where do you live? For on, we use on with streets, avenues, and roads. So for example, I could say, I live on Happy Street. And finally, if I needed to give my specific address, I would say, I live at 234 Happy Street. And finally, let's talk about in, on, and at as prepositions of place. And I'd like to thank the creators of this mind map, which so beautifully captures the essence of in, on, and at as prepositions. So when we talk about in, we're talking about something being inside of another. When we're talking about on, we're talking about something being on the surface of another thing. And finally, when we speak about at, we're talking about something being near to another. Look at the differences in the sentences above. There's a cow on the bottle versus there's milk in the bottle. There's a car at the shop versus there is a man in the shop. There's a man at the door versus there's a decoration on the door. Do you understand the differences between these sentences? Please let me know in the comments below. So let's go into a little bit more detail about in, on, and at as prepositions of place. We use in to talk about something that is inside of another. For example, put your socks in the laundry bag, not beside it, not on top of it, but in it, please. And then next, for on, we use it to talk about something that is on the surface of another thing. So, for example, my hand is on my head. And finally, we use at when we're talking about things that are near to each other. So if I say, leave the bag at the front door, it is not hanging on the door, but it's just at the door. We've looked at so many examples. Are you now ready for the exercises? I hope the answer to that was yes. So, complete the following sentences using in, on, or at. You may do it here in your mind, or you may take the quiz to find out if you have the correct answer. And that's all, folks. Don't forget that the words in, on, and at can be used as prepositions of time, place, and location. And the usage of each of these words is different in each case. So ensure that you review this topic so that you can use prepositions in a better way. Thank you.